I'm in Arizona, and behind me is Alamo Lake. And this is a place I've never been to before. And what a beautiful, beautiful location. Now, I was given coordinates to meet up here as a starting point for the 2024 Centerforce run. Now, this is the third year I've done this adventure, and every time it's an amazing journey through Arizona with some great people, some cool vehicles. We go see some awesome spots. But the great thing about this adventure is that Trent leads it, and he doesn't tell us where we're going. So everything from here on out is kind of a mystery. And so over the next couple days, I'm gonna take you guys along and see what we find and what we can just kind of get ourselves into. The trails should be awesome, the scenery should be awesome, there should be some history. But one thing I want to talk about on this trip is, you know, sometimes adventures don't go the way they are planned, and you might have some challenges with weather, with vehicles, and sometimes adventures can just be a little bit of a bummer. That's what makes them adventures sometimes. But what keeps you going? What keeps you inspired to keep doing it, even if you have a hard time? And what I want to do on this trip is kind of talk to some folks and find out what their worst adventure was, or at least their most challenging, and what keeps them going, what keeps them coming out here. And then at the end of the video, I'll share with you my story, which I think you guys will be very interested in. All right, we've got a lot to see over the next couple days. Got a lot of great people to talk to, and the vehicles here, very, very cool. Let's get started. There are 15 amazing vehicles in this group, and several of the folks here have been a part of this event before, but there's also a few newcomers who I'm eager to get to know over the next couple days. We did have to say an early goodbye to Adam and his XJ this morning due to an electrical issue that wasn't going to allow him to join us. A bummer, because he's a great guy and it's fun to watch his Jeep in action. We gathered after breakfast for our driver's meeting, where Trent McGee gave us a little insight on today's plan.
And then we're actually going to make our way about around the backside of the lake. We're going to see an old abandoned bus that's out in the middle of nowhere, and then visit a very, very cool slot canyon that is very narrow. We're probably going to top off for fuel in a little town called Yucca, and then we're going to head up into the Hualapai Mountains. We're going to be spending the evening at a mine.
I've wheeled with Trent many times over the years, and I can say confidently that if he's leading an event, you can expect to have a great time, see some incredible places, and be ready for some fun obstacles along the way. I'm really looking forward for what's to come. All right, driver's meeting complete, and Trent mentioned something about an old cabin, an old mine, and a pretty deep water crossing. So today should be pretty exciting. I can't wait. This is going to be a whole lot of fun. I love exploring new places. This area around Alamo Lake is a vast region of BLM land, and there is a large network of trails out here to explore, so I think this is a place I will definitely be coming back to. And currently, everything surrounding here is green, lush, and just full of life. This is probably the most vibrant I've ever seen the Ocotillo. I mean, they're all just green with the red tips this year. It's crazy how much water they got.
Yeah, we were actually talking yesterday. This is probably about as green as you were ever going to see this desert. We had a pretty wet spring, and as a result, everything's really happy. But that's not going to change here in probably about 3 more weeks.
The recent rains have really transformed this desert into something you only get to see a few weeks out of the year. We'll see some more evidence of what the recent rains have done to the trail here soon. Now, we are making our way around to the northern side of the lake, and then we'll be working our way to the northwest towards our first stop for the day.
So the vast majority of the land on the other side of the Santa Maria is wilderness and protected, and there aren't a whole lot of roads going through that area, or if there are any at all. But it's pretty cool area for sure up here.
Been on the trail for about an hour, and getting some good knowledge about the geology of this area. Vern always delivers some great information when we're out here. Now, the trail has been pretty much wide open, kind of graded, but we are heading towards the mountains where things should get a little more rugged. And Trent said there's a really tight canyon where his vehicle barely fit through. So should be pretty interesting. And then there's also a river crossing which is very deep, and so I got the exhaust snorkel, so we'll be fine. Today's gonna be fun. All right, our first stop for the day is it's called Palmarita Ranch, and I guess they gave it a go on doing some cattle ranching out here, and it didn't work out. So now there's this big abandoned ranch out here with all these houses. You can kind of just wander around right off the trail. So let's go check it out, see what we find. The Palmarita Ranch was established back in the late 1800s by Spanish settlers, and up until 1946 it was primarily used for agriculture. The ranch changed ownership many times over the years and continued to produce hay, barley, and alfalfa, and eventually focused more on raising cattle. There are several old and modern buildings on the site in varying stages of decay. There is one small, well-maintained cabin that has some historical records. You can find lots of information about the history of this place. In 2000, the ranch was donated to the BLM and now serves as a historical marker and a launching point for explorers looking to venture off into the wilderness. This was a great spot to stop and take a break, and also to do a little trail modification. Jose was having a little rubbing issue with his fender and his tire, and thankfully Jesse from Summit had a cutoff wheel that helped fix it right up. All right, let's talk to a couple folks about their worst overland adventures.
So the worst adventure was, I want to say, the first one here in Arizona. We went camping with all my family, and just ground tent, normal camping, and after the first night, the weather changed completely, and a big storm hit the area, and the tent was feeling like it was gonna blow away. So we ended up going inside the Jeep in the meantime. So we stayed the whole night inside the Jeep until the storm passed. It was, at that time, it made us feel like, wow, we don't want to do this anymore. And then the kids woke up and they said, "Dad, this was amazing." And hey, here we are after many years ago. So they still love it. They still have the same passion, and I think that's the reason why we still do it, because the kids love it and we love the outdoor as a family.
All right, so probably the absolute worst experience I've had off-roading is when my wife and I and some of our family members were up in Colorado wheeling, and unfortunately the ground let loose. My wife was with my uncle, and they rolled 3 times down the hill. It was an extremely scary situation, not knowing whether it was a 40-foot hill or a drop versus, a couple 100-foot, because those hills up there they're pretty crazy up in Colorado. But again, that hasn't stopped me. That hasn't stopped my wife. She still comes out and goes wheeling. I think it's part of the adventure. It's part of the risk that you take. But to be able to get the rewards like this that we're out here experiencing is what keeps us going.
I really enjoyed listening to Jose and Jesse's stories, and we've got more stories from the group to come. But right now, we need to continue working our way north, and this next leg of the trail would be much more work than any of us anticipated. So for those of you that saw the Centerforce run last year, we were in a very unique situation where we were going through this canyon that was just this river flowing through it, and it was really, really cool. It was definitely super unique and not something you see in Arizona very often. And yet here again, we are in this wash that has got a lot of water flowing through it, and it's kind of a hot mess. You got to really pay attention because it's a little sloppy. There's some sticky spots, so you got to keep your momentum going. Just a unique opportunity you don't get to experience in Arizona very often. Very cool. We were in this wet, soupy wash for many miles, and this is a great example of why I love mud flaps on this Gladiator. It keeps things so clean. Now, since leaving the ranch, we had been making great time, but things were about to change as we made our way into some dry, thick sand and headed deeper and deeper and deeper into this very dense forest. Over the years, I've found myself in some pretty tight trails in the trees and the shrubs, and I've added many pinstripes to my Jeep. But this might be the worst one ever. The entire group had to really begin slowing down their pace because not only were there plenty of small branches hanging all over the trail, there were some gnarly, rip your fenders off your Jeep kind of branches that you didn't want to tangle with, like this one here. I was going through this deep rut that turned hard to the driver's side, and I was trying to stay far enough to the passenger side to avoid the big branch on the driver's side, and I totally misjudged my clearance. The new fender damage made me a little less than happy, and I'll show you the battle wounds in a bit. Now, the guys behind me were not faring much better, and those that had rooftop tents were really struggling and just were not going to make it through without some major damage, and that's when this incredible team of people jumped into action. Went through this really thick brush back there, and some of the guys with the rooftop tents aren't going to make it, so they've got to cut some branches, so we're just waiting for a moment. But now's a great time to thank the sponsor of this video, which is Onyx Off-Road. Onyx Off-Road is an amazing navigation system and tool that I've been using for several months now, and it has really helped me find some great spots and record tracks like this. I am recording the entire Centerforce run because these are places I've never been before, so this way I can come back and explore this area again, taking a little more time. And so I am marking waypoints all along the way. I will be marking all our campsites, just recording the entire track, and it's so easy to use in Onyx Off-Road. If you are looking for a really comprehensive navigation system, I'll leave a link down below that will give you 20% off. I'm telling you, it's a great asset for your adventures. Onyx Off-Road, huge thanks for sponsoring this video.
Let me spot you. Hold on.
that was a slow and rough section of trail. Had to cut down a lot of tree limbs to make it through there, and my Jeep got a pretty good abrasion. But look, that's part of the adventure. Sometimes things happen, and it's all good. But we made it through there, just very slow going, and now Trent is a little worried that we might be behind our time distance a little bit. So we're gonna make our way towards the river, stop and have lunch, and then kind of reassess what the rest of the day holds. But I don't care if we get to camp late. I'm full of joy today. This is awesome, and I'm with a great group of people, so a lot of fun. All right, we've stopped here along the beach of the river, and just giving everybody a chance to grab a bite to eat before we cross the river. It's not deep, but boy, is this ground soft. So it's gonna be all about keeping your momentum and hoping that we don't get stuck. But take a nice little break. Trent, we're on schedule. That's a thumbs down, guys. So we're gonna probably have to press on pretty hard today, but it is beautiful out here, but it's been a little slow goer than we thought.
So my worst adventure as far as wheeling, many years ago we went out to Hot Springs, and actually I wasn't in my vehicle at the time. I was recording this guy, and out of nowhere he's working his way up a climb and shoots a softball-sized rock right at my gut. But I survived it, got in my rig, and followed him right up. That's the worst of it. It can only get better. We've got a couple rigs now, each of us, and each one offers its own challenges and benefits, and everything is always an adventure. It's always fun, and you never know what tomorrow's going to bring with it.
So my worst and most challenging adventure is anytime I take one of these old trucks out. And it usually works out, but you have the potential for breakdowns. They're uncomfortable. There's a lot of inconveniences. All what keeps me going is the discomfort and the problems you have on the trail. They make a better story. That's the trip you're going to remember 20 years from now. It's not the time where everything went great and you were comfortable, didn't break a sweat. It's the time when you rolled around in the dirt to fix your truck, or just got dirt boogers from following a bunch of Jeeps down the road. That's more fun to me, and I remember that stuff.
All right, guys, we were coming down this wash that's extremely bumpy, and all of a sudden Vern's Comanche just shut off. We're not sure why, and so he can't crank it over, and so Everybody's taking a hard look and seeing kind of what's wrong, just going through the motions, you know, power, fuel, compression, all that stuff. So we'll see if we can get him up and running here soon.
I've had a few challenging trips. Some of them have been due to just lack of sleep, not getting enough sleep at night, and running out of energy during the daytime. I had one ultimate adventure trip that will always stand out in my mind, where I lost a distributor drive gear on the way to the event, and it was quite a hassle figuring out what went wrong and how to make it run before we started Ultimate Adventure. So the adventure hadn't started, and we were already on the side of the road working on my car. What keeps me going? Well, I don't know. I just love being out here. Failures are part of the adventure. You gotta expect things to go wrong every now and again. Every time we're out on the trail, somebody has some sort of issue. Usually it's not me, but sometimes it is me.
So after about 30 minutes of troubleshooting, it seems like it might have been Vern's crank position sensor. And after letting the truck cool down and wiggling things around and tightening some stuff up, he seems to be back up and running. Well, at least for now. And just a few hundred yards down the trail, we entered the Maggie Slot Canyon. And Trent had mentioned this morning that we might find ourselves in some tight sections this afternoon. And boy, he wasn't kidding. This is one very narrow canyon, and getting some of these full-size vehicles through here just might be a bit of a struggle.
Well, this canyon is beautiful, and wow, that was a tight fit through there. Big thanks to Jesse for spotting me through there. I didn't have to do a 2-point turn, I made it, but that was all his spotting. But there was just, man, maybe an inch on either side of the fenders just to get through there. That was pretty tight. I will say though, the trail through here, man, it's rough. This is some serious washboard. This is obviously gets quite a bit of traffic, and I can see why. It's beautiful, but it's, I don't know, can you tell? I think my voice is probably vibrating. It's so bad in here. But now I think we're going to be putting down a few more miles and looking for camp. Today has been a great day, man. Awesome, just full of all kinds of adventure today. For about the last hour, we have been on what's called Alamo Road, and it is this wide open, mostly smooth dirt road, and we've been cruising. I mean, and we've been doing 40, 50 miles an hour at some points, just laying down some serious miles. Trent said we're pretty far behind. That stop earlier today where we had to cut down all those branches to get folks through there, that really put us back. So we may get to camp late after dark. And we've still got to get fuel because some of the vehicles that are with us, the old iron vehicles, the 392s, are thirsty. I'm actually doing fine on fuel. But we're going to stop and get gas and then look for camp. And then, you know, I'm ready to eat a big meal and just kind of hang out around the fire and relax. Got fuel, grabbed a few extra supplies. I grabbed a ton more water because I have just been super thirsty. It's this dry Arizona heat. It's been warm today. Now, we are back on the dirt and we are heading up in elevation towards the Wallapai Mountains, and we are in search of camp. And Trent said we've got about 4 or 5 miles and we should be getting to camp, and then we can start cooking some good chow and kind of unwind and just enjoy the evening with everybody. So looking forward to seeing where the camp is tonight, because the mountains so far are pretty beautiful in front of us. Just reached camp, and it's a really cool spot. As we were coming in, we could see this massive mine up on the hill. There's a bunch of lumber up there. There's a little stable right here, and there's apparently a lot to explore. So right now we need to set up camp before it gets dark and get some food. So this might be something that we might check out a little bit tonight, but we'll definitely investigate more in the morning. But right now I need to get set up and find a good flat spot for the tent.
This is the site of the old Boreana mine, and I will explore more of this tomorrow morning over a good cup of coffee, and I'll come across something that was totally unexpected, just up a ways from where we're camping. Right now, I just want to get the tent set up and cook dinner before the sun goes down. And some of you may notice I've switched to the Gazelle ground tent. I had a few challenges with my last tent. I've had this one for a couple years, and it's been holding up well because my sons are usually the ones using and abusing this thing, and I actually like that it's a little bit larger. So I think this will be my new ground tent for a while.
All right, folks are settling into camp. They've kind of got their spots. We had to spread out a little bit just because we've got a pretty big group, but there's about 4 or 5 vehicles up here, and they've got a beautiful view of the sunset that's happening. And then the mine is just over there, and we are camped down here. I'll show you. So we're down here under this tree. There's about 5 of us over here and about 3 of us over there. So we've got Jose and his very nice Willys built out Overlander. And there's Trent, who I've pretty much been following all day in that International. He's had that thing for almost 5 years, guys. That thing is such a beast. Marco's over here. He's got all rooftop tent set up. He's got his little shower curtain. I actually really like this. I'm thinking about doing something similar. We got Blair over here. Blair's all set up, and he's got his 392. So I got 2 392s right next to my 3.6, but that's all right. We're fine. We did great today on the trail, and I shouldn't save gas, but I got better fuel economy than they did. Yes, I did. And then Tim and Georgia and their pups, they parked up there, but they're ground tenting over here. And then Jason, who you guys may know from Auto Edits, he's set up over here. He's sleeping in his Jeep. And sometimes that's just the simplest and most convenient way to go. So, all right, we're gonna go cook some chow and then just kind of enjoy the evening.
My worst adventure ever was right here in this Jeep when it was nearly bone stock. When I got it, the advice was, just go wheel it. Get a winch on it and go wheel it. So I said, oh, cool. All right, let's do that. So I took it out to Death Valley, my normal spot, saw this awesome hill, went to climb it, and promptly decided, just buried the thing to the rear bumper on an incline like this. Spent the 3 days I intended to explore and camping, digging with one of those little screw together shovels, digging this thing out, and then limping myself home, sore, bloody, and blistered. And here I am 11 years later with the same Jeep with big tires and all this stuff and tons of great adventures. And it just was the start. That was just the gateway. Be careful of these things.
All right, everybody's starting to work on dinner. And I'm sure there's going to be some amazing things cooked up tonight. But I mentioned, I don't know, a video or two ago that I was kind of really changing my eating habits and not eating so much processed food and just trying to eat cleaner and healthier. And so cooking my own meals. I'm having some ahi tuna steak and an avocado tonight for dinner, which is going to be super delicious because I love ahi tuna, and an avocado is really good for you. So that's what I'm having for dinner. But we'll go walk around and see what everybody else is eating. But I'm really trying to eat better. I feel good. Day 24 of doing kind of this keto diet, and I got to tell you guys, I feel great. It's really been healthy for me, I think. What I like about this meal is, one, ahi tuna steaks are one of my favorite foods in the world, and two, this took less than like 10 minutes to make, so we're up and running. And yes, I'm gonna eat both of these and the entire avocado. I'm starving. Oh yeah. Marco, what are you doing? You're cutting up a gallon jug over there.
I don't have my trailer with me, so I got so used to that sink that I forgot to bring one. So I made a sink myself.
Yeah, you can wash your potatoes.
Yeah.
So you're having potatoes. What else you got for dinner?
I'm gonna make mashed potatoes.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have some asparagus.
Yes.
With a nice ribeye.
Nice, dude.
Yes.
Nice.
I'm so hungry.
Yeah. What'd you think of today?
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
That trail that we took down 500 trees.
You guys were working hard cutting those trees, man.
Look at our arms.
Oh yeah. But you saved your Jeep, right?
We saved the Jeep, and we didn't cut trees. It was just
Yeah.
overgrown, like a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. It was just really, really bad.
Yeah.
So what was it? A couple of hours probably?
Yeah, we were there for a while. That's
Yeah.
no doubt. It took us a while to get through there.
Drive
so.
a little bit,
Yeah.
get out of the Jeep,
Yeah.
chop down some brush, and then go back in the Jeep, and
Yeah.
5 meters later, again.
Yeah.
So, but it was fun.
Yeah.
It was super fun.
Okay, so we are up in the Wallapies. We've been up here before, just on the other side.
Yep.
We've never been to this side, so this is pretty cool.
It's
but
beautiful. That mine.
it's amazing. I can't wait to explore it tomorrow morning. But we're going to a place tomorrow that we've been before, and I think we'll save a little bit of that story for tomorrow. Absolutely. But that tomorrow's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
I can't wait to go back. It's the same Jeep.
Yep.
But it's different, upgraded.
Yeah.
So
It'll be fun.
It'll be fun.
I'm just over here being nosy. What are you making?
My wife makes for me some cauliflower rice with beans and chicken breast. So I'm just reheating it.
That's a good healthy meal.
I agree.
I feel like you're mining for puns here.
What happened, dude? This is you 2 times.
Yeah.
You had it stall on you.
We got lucky earlier because we were thinking the crank position sensor died, and it didn't die. What actually happened was it just
came unplugged.
Okay.
So we plugged it back together, put a zip tie around it to hold everything together, and subsequent to that, it fell down and hit the exhaust manifold and burnt through the insulation. So we're kind of babying it back together in hopes that it will function as intended once we spill beer on our feet. Once we get it back in there. Because it's not a whole lot of fun to get it in or out.
Yeah. Well, looks like you're in good hands.
Yeah.